It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all down here in Tyler, Texas. And I'm going to talk for maybe about 15, 20 minutes. Then I want to open it up to the floor. I want to hear what's on your mind, what are your thoughts, perspectives, and insights. Because that's what's most important. If you want to be a servant to the people, you need to know what's on the people's minds. And you should always be willing and have the courage to stand before the people and not try to hide away because it's about your agenda and not their agenda. But first of all, let me kind of put some things in perspective. It was back in March of 2004. Most of y'all are dead asleep. There was a recently retired Army Lieutenant Colonel that was starting his colonel leave, heading out to Fort Hood, Texas, with a big gray Suburban, with the family loaded up, and a trailer coming up Highway 31, going to hit I-20, head back on the other side of the Mississippi River. Because a smart military man, if you've been driving your wife around all over you know where for a military career, when you retire, you ask her, honey, where do you want to go? And that means you can have a happy life as long as you have a happy life. But the thing is that who would have ever thought that 10 years later, 2014, that I get the opportunity to come back across the Mississippi River to the Lone Star State, the place where I say goodbye to the United States military after 22 years of active duty service, to work with the Conservative Policy Center. And those of you that kind of know what happened down in Florida in the 2012 election cycle, there were Republicans that redistricted me out of the congressional district that I represented. And I was the #1 target for the Democrat Party because, you know, they just don't kind of like those black conservatives to be up there in the United States House of Representatives. But that's okay. Even with the election fraud that you had in St. Lucie County, because 108% voter turnout in the precinct, I don't think that works throughout the country. But 0.49%, that's what we lost by. And so I was pretty much so into politics. If people want to have those that lack honor, integrity, and character, then just the same as Benjamin Franklin once said, sometimes you get the government that you want, other times you get the government that you deserve. But that's not the heart of a war. So in 2018, when I sat back and I saw what happened here in my new home state, the state of Texas, when we lost 12 state house seats, Republicans. We lost 2 state Senate seats, Republicans. We lost 2 U.S. congressional districts, one of those was mine, Republicans. We lost 56 judicial positions. Anybody that has served in the military, it's not that you look at where you are in the fight right now, you look down the road and see what the fight is coming ahead. And I knew in the next 2 years, the Progressive Socialist left would put a target on Texas. And they would believe that they could flip Texas. They would believe that they could get those additional 8 to 9 state house seats and flip the Texas to the state house, especially in a year that was coming up for redistricting, which would change the political landscape of Texas, at least for the next 10 years. You know, warriors move to the sound of the guns. When we hear the guns going off, we don't turn the opposite direction. We put up our gear, we put it on, we charge toward that sound. And so that's why I decided not to run against John Cornyn and go up to the United States Senate, not to run for Texas 32 against Colin already. Because even if you get to go to Washington, D.C., which is, you know, a dysfunctional place, as you well know, if we lose Texas, who cares? If I'm a senator or a congressman. The fight for America is in the great state of Texas. And so many people were perplexed when I said that I would run to be the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. Because I know this other side. I know their aims, their goals, their objectives. And when you sit down and study their strategy, which we don't do a good job of doing, we don't read Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. We don't read the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx. We don't even take time. I know it will make you upset, so get some Pepto-Bismol or some Maalox. But we don't take the time to look at CNN, look at MSNBC, and understand their rhetoric, understand the things they're saying. Because you cannot develop a winning strategy if you don't understand the other side. That's The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Another book that we should be reading as constitutional conservatives. And so in 2020, when the left said that they were going after suburban soccer moms, and folks said, well, what are we going to do to the Republican Party of Texas? We're going in behind enemy lines. We're going to go in where they think that they're strong, where they think that they're solid blue. We're going to the Rio Grande Valley. And we took our message to the Hispanic community, who are conservative in nature. And the story that came out in November 2020 is that we flipped the Rio Grande Valley. The place like Zapata County, they had been Democrat for 100 years, all of a sudden was Republican. And now look what has happened through the municipal level elections. You have, for the first time in 36 years, a Republican mayor in Rio Grande Valley, McAllen. You have the youngest city council member in the state of Texas, Roman Garcia, 19 years of age, who defeated a progressive socialist by 13 percentage points in Kerrville, Texas. That's what happens when you understand the strategy of your side. When you take the fight to them. But then, as chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, going out and fighting for those legislative priorities that Joanne just talked about, and seeing the dismissive attitude of Texas Republican state senators and state house members, to understand how hard you work to make sure that you have an 83 to 67 majority in the Texas State House, and then you get your Texas Speaker of the House, gives 15 committee chairmanships over the Democrats, the people that you worked hard to make sure they were not in any leadership positions. When you look at all of those legislative parties, the fact that we are still chemically and physically castrating children in Texas, the fact that we could not pass school choice in Texas, we still have not ended taxpayer-funded lobbying. We cannot even protect our history in the state of Texas. And I think it is absolutely disgusting that we in Texas would allow the federal government to change the name of the military installation that was my last duty assignment, that was Fort Hood, Texas. I don't give a damn if it was named after a Confederate general. All I care about is this: Fort Hood, Texas is a great place. Yes. And that's a place where men and women have taken an oath to support and serve and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. We don't need to worry about names of places. History is not there for you to like or dislike. History is there for you to learn from. The good, the bad, the yeah, we got this heartbeat bill through. But when you really think about it, it doesn't have a lot of teeth. Because you would have to believe that a doctor performed an abortion on a baby in the womb that had a heartbeat, and then you would have to go get a lawyer to file a civil lawsuit against the doctor. There's no criminal penalties for it whatsoever. Thank God we have like Lubbock, Texas, this largest sanctuary city for life in the United States of America. Thank God we just had Eastland, Texas, that became the 34th city in the United States of America as a sanctuary city for life. But when I think about Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, white supremacist, racist, called blacks, human, weeds, undesirables, but the second largest facility for murdering unborn babies in the world is located in Houston, Texas. I-45 on the south side in a black neighborhood where 73% of Planned Parenthood clinics are. I want to see Planned Parenthood out of Texas. Yeah. Folks are around talking about Black Lives Matter. Which Black Lives Matter? Not the Black lives that are being murdered in the womb, upwards to about 30 million. Not the Black lives that are suffering with these failing schools in our inner city communities. Not the Black lives that are suffering because they don't have the traditional two-parent household. So we need to stand and fight for these things. So that's why I decided on Independence Day of this year to throw my hat in the ring, be your next governor of the great state of Texas. How many soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guards, and first responders do we have in the audience? Please stand so we can thank you. Please stand up so we can thank you for your service. deployed to go and protect the borders of other countries, protect the sovereignty of other nations, to see our comrades lose their lives. But here in our own state, we got wide open borders. We have an invasion going on. Over 160 different countries have sent people to flow across the border in the state of Texas. How many people know what happened in the El Paso sector of our border just this past weekend? 2 cartel members fired 20 rounds across the Rio Grande River, targeting a border patrol agent. And this comes after those cartels hung a banner from the Walrus Bridge that said that they would start to shoot at anyone, law enforcement, whoever, to try to deter their human trafficking endeavors. That, ladies and gentlemen, is an act of war. The fire across the international boundary, the fire into our state of Texas, but yet you don't hear anyone talking about this. You don't hear a president talking about it. You don't even hear a governor of the state of Texas talking about that. That's why we should have a full mobilization of our National Guard. That's why we should designate the cartels as a transnational, narco-criminal terrorist organization so we can go after their money, we can go after their resources. Everyone who's working with the cartels, we put their butts in jail. We have to have the authority in Texas to arrest, to detain, and to deport people, because who would have ever thought, men and women, who took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, that we would see a time in America when our own government would abdicate its constitutional duty and responsibility to protect our sovereignty. And no one's building a border wall. I've been down there. It's a chain link fence. And most of the rows of the chain link fence are sitting there and grass is growing on it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a constitutional crisis. And at this time, you don't need litigators that are asking for permission from the federal government, filing lawsuits. You need someone who's going to kick ass and take action. You need
Come on.
We can talk about the property taxes. I'm sure you're going to answer that question. We can talk about education. I'm sure you're going to answer that question. And many other things. But if we don't get our border right, it doesn't matter. Ladies, gentlemen, Texas is the #1 state in the United States of America for human sex trafficking.
It should not be.
The cartels are making $25 to $30 million a week on just human trafficking, not even the drug trafficking. You want to talk about this COVID crisis that we're going on? Well, what the heck do you think is going to happen when you allow a whole bunch of people to come into your state and be dispersed all across the United States of America? You're not forcing them to take the COVID test. You're not forcing them to get a mandatory vaccination. As a matter of fact, you're processing them. You're giving them $1,400 each person in the packet that they get, and you allow them to go wherever they want. As a matter of fact, I saw it in the airport, Laredo. They're taking around TSA. While a 22-year member of the United States Armed Services, former member of Congress, former chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, has to go through TSA, take off my boots, take off my belt, and everything else. But they get to go around. Yet we're telling citizens in the state of Texas, unless you get a vaccine, you're going to be fired from your job. We have people telling our children that they have to wear masks, not allowing parents to make that decision. Let me tell you something. It all started because, as Ms. Fleming said, we are enabling the progressive socialist left. When you have a governor that stands up and makes this unilateral decision about who and what is essential, no elected official has the authority and power to make that decision. And it was Benjamin Franklin who said, those who surrender essential liberty for temporary security, in the end deserve neither liberty nor security. That's where you are. You allow people to taste that fruit, that incredible, blessed fruit of liberty. And now, they may not give it back to you very easily. The choice of the decision is yours. I know some people are concerned, saying, okay, you guys are the primary, you're going to fight against each other. I'm not fighting against anybody. I'm fighting for you. And that's the difference. If you focus on the issues, you focus on what is right, I'm not getting into the Mickey Mouse. But you have to make a decision. What do you want for your children? What do you want for your grandchildren? Will you be that first generation that leaves less to Texas children than what's left for yourself? You can't allow that to happen. The bottom line is who you want to go into the arena to do battle against the progressive socialist left. That's what this comes down to. And I'm just asking that you consider me to be that gladiator that goes into the arena to fight and achieve victory for the great state of Texas. Some people, came up and said, hey, sir, we think about seceding. I don't run away from the left. Texas needs to stand and lead. Right behind me are two flags. One flag has a lone star. That lone star illuminates the other 49 on that flag.
Yeah.
The decision is that we want to make sure that that lone star shines bright. And I think that you will. And more constitutional conservative states will rally because of the stand we make here in Texas. Let me close by reminding you about this. The left is very serious about taking Texas away from you. On June 8th, 3 progressive socialists in Texas wrote a book called Forgetting the Alamo, The Rise and Fall of an American Myth. When the left is trying to undermine your history, the symbol of the spirit of liberty, the symbol of the spirit of service and sacrifice and commitment, was born and raised in Georgia. There are 5 names of Georgians on the cenotaph. I went to the University of Tennessee. There are 38 names of Tennesseans on the cenotaph. One of those names is a former member of the United States House of Representatives. I think y'all know what I'm talking about. Texas is not about where you were born, where you came from. Texas is about the spirit of liberty.
Amen.
That's what Joanne Flynn fights for. That's what I want to fight for. Now the question is, do you have the courage to fight for yourself? God bless you all. What are your questions?